small wonder won't be seen tonight, so we could bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Matt Groening.
Oh!
Yeah.
It's one of the most amazing stories ever.
Yes.
Absolutely ever. The story of The Simpsons. The
Yeah.
origin of The Simpsons. I can't wait to get into it because it's one of my favorite origin stories of anything.
It's incredible. So, take yourself back to 1989. February 3rd, Westinghouse closes down Filmation after 27 years. The name Filmation might sound familiar, especially if you're a Gen Xer. They made a bunch of DC animated shows in the 60s, Star Trek the Animated Series, and a bunch of others in the 70s, and He-Man and She-Ra, along with a ton of other stuff in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Westinghouse sold Filmation to Paravision International, which is an investment consortium led by the French cosmetic company L'Oreal. Before that sale was complete, Westinghouse shuttered the film studio on February 3rd, 1989, which left L'Oreal with only the Filmation library. Didn't give them the ability to make new stuff. This happened, and the only reason that I include all this is because it happened a day before the WARN Act went into effect, requiring companies to give employees 60 days notice before a mass layoff.
Oh, what a bunch of jerks.
Exactly.
Man, they came in under the wire.
Yeah.
Just happy shareholders.
You know they just circled that on their calendar, and they're like, no, we're going to do it now.
Westinghouse isn't the most
No.
employee-friendly company.
They tried. It's just weird. Also, the other thing is that everyone always says L'Oreal shut down Filmation, which is technically true, but they're owned by Westinghouse.
Right.
And, like, it wasn't,
Well, Westinghouse is one of
They owned CBS for a
Yeah.
long time.
exactly.
and
CBS, Westinghouse, CBS.
Yeah, they tried. In the 80s, they bought a bunch of media stuff, and they were trying to do other things. And
Because they would make fun. I think, Letterman would make fun.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
because it's like an appliance.
It's like, oh, now an appliance. I remember that when they bought them, and then Letterman was always, oh, an appliance company runs us now. We're just going to be hawking products.
And, 30 Rock kind of did that, too,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
their gig.
Yeah. March 29th, at the 61st Academy Awards, Tin Toy by John Lasseter and William Reeves wins the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film, becoming the first CGI film to win an Oscar.
Yeah, and nothing ever happened to Lasseter. Guy just disappeared.
No, he
into
just
the
went
ether.
away. November 14th, The Little Mermaid, directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, produced by the Walt Disney Company, premieres.
I love the part when she's in the water and Rambo comes up, and all of a sudden her legs, they turn into the fish part, and he's like, she got the legs! She got the legs!
Yes.
And then he sang that song about legs.
I wish they had stuck with the original story where she got legs and could walk, but it felt like she was stepping on razors every time she did it.
Yeah, and then she would sing that song. They would look at her as she was walking, and they'd be like, she got legs. She know how to use them. Yes.
December 17th, the first episode of The Simpsons television series titled Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire is broadcast. It was technically a holiday special. It was kind of I think originally it was going to be a one-off, but anyway. The Simpsons is the longest-running U.S. primetime television series in history and the longest-running U.S. animated series and sitcom with over 718 episodes produced to date.
I have seen every single one. I have not missed one, and I'm talking first run.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
missed one. I used to tape them.
Yeah.
My buddy Sean and I, we were roommates. We were obsessed with The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
We had these videotapes.
Yeah.
We would steal those black boxes from work, those like serious
Yeah.
cases. And then
yeah.
Our collection very serious. I just watched the last episode on Sunday.
Yeah.
Very good. I mean, everybody who is like, forever. You don't watch it.
They don't watch it. Yeah.
If you don't watch it, you can't judge. They've had an influx of really great writers over the years, and that's the one thing that they do well is they find a way to just make it weird and still fun.
And it's still relevant after 30 plus years. Like it's still relevant.
And it's still hilarious. It's still one of the funniest, consistently funniest shows on television.
Totally. So, The Simpsons obviously was created by Matt Groening. He was born in on February 15th, 1954, in Portland, Oregon, the middle of 5 children.
That explains a lot. Oregon.
Well, yeah. Older brother Mark and sister Patty were born in 1950 and 1952, while the younger sisters Lisa and Maggie in 1956 and 1958, respectively.
Some things are starting to sound a little bit familiar.
This is why I included the names. it's a little. His Norwegian-American mother, Margaret Ruth, maiden name Wiggum, was born in 1919, and she passed in 2013. She was once a teacher, and his Russian Mennonite father, Homer Philip Groening, who passed in 1996, was a filmmaker, advertiser, writer, and cartoonist.
Nice.
He was a man of many talents.
Many creative talents.
Yes, exactly.
This is something that this is like a lot with Chuck Jones. You know, Chuck Jones' dad was a dreamer.
Yes.
You know, but that's still a creative because he wants to create something. So it's like, you know, these guys that have creative, encouraging parents, they seem to do all right.
It's amazing how that works.
Encourage your kids, people.
Homer, born in Maine Center, Saskatchewan, Canada, grew up in a Mennonite Plautdeutsche-speaking family.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I had no idea what Plautdeutsch was. It's a Low German language that is mostly spoken in Ukraine now. While his father could speak it, Matt never learned it. I just thought it was interesting because I'd never heard of it before.
No, neither have I.
It's not used very much anywhere anymore. Matt's grandfather, Abraham Groening, was a professor at Tabor College, a Mennonite Brethren liberal arts college in Hillsboro, Kansas.
What the hell does that look like? A Mennonite liberal arts college. Okay, what we're going to learn here is sometimes you're going to use an oak plow, and sometimes you might use a birch plow. Now, don't get all riled up if you're a birch man, and you gotta use a non-birch plow.
It depends on the type of dirt.
We have to be liberal in our teachings for our Mennonite liberal arts college. I wish we all could read.
Eventually, Matt's grandfather, Abraham, moved to Albany College, which is now known as Lewis and Clark College in Oregon in 1930, which is where the family started and why they were in the Pacific Northwest.
That's where people go to learn to be explorers.
Yeah, exactly.
Lewis and Clark College.
By all accounts, Matt's childhood was relatively normal and, to him, very dull. He recalled once having to write,
"I will be quiet in class,"
500 times on the chalkboard.
Good God.
Which also sounds very familiar.
And very
cruel?
Extreme.
Yeah.
This couldn't have been in Libby, Oregon.
Oh, no. I mean, it depends. Oregon's got some weirdness up there.
It might have been that Mennonite school or whatever, man. I mean, good God, that's like torture on your poor little wrist.
As much as his parents encouraged him, his teachers did not, because they would often catch him doodling and snatch them away, tearing them to pieces.
This is such gorgeous revenge with every episode.
Yes.
Getting back at these teachers with his F.U. writing on the thing. I just love this.
In 3rd grade, he entered a short story contest with the setup of a boy goes to his attic and hits his head and has an epiphany about what he wants to become when he grows up. Matt's entry involved the boy hitting his head and dying and coming back as a ghost every Halloween. While it was frowned upon.
Hold on. What did he want to be when he wanted to be a ghost when he grew up?
He didn't care. He knew this. He knew that the story, even in 3rd grade, he knew it was bullshit.
Yeah.
He knew it was dumb.
Yeah.
So he goes, okay, I'm going to do this instead.
Okay.
And his teachers were very angry with him, but he ended up winning the contest anyway.
That is I 100% relate to that because, and you probably do too. I always think that there's a different way to look at things, and I hate doing things the way that everybody else does. So, it's bullheadedness. It's stubborn. It's stupid a lot of times. But it's just the way that we think. We can't follow the rules,
We pick up on the normal stuff so quickly, and then you're like, well, I already know that, so I'm going to do something else.
It's like the spirit of the assignment,
He did. He captured that.
Yeah, it's I mean, I always went to the extreme, and sometimes you hit a homer, and sometimes you strike out.
Yeah.
But I think the teachers probably, I would think, appreciated it because it was it broke up the our amazing writing broke up the banality of being a teacher. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that people that are weird and weirdos probably make it a little more interesting for teachers.
When I was in 8th grade, had to write a story about a certain word, and that word was defenestration, and I wrote the most gruesome story about a man being thrown out a window.
Nice.
And my teacher was like, "I'm a little concerned for you, but this is very good."
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's the best, is when it disturbs them or they don't like it, but they can't help but praise it because it's done well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's victory.
In high school, Matt ran for student council president on the Teens for Decency ticket with the slogan,
If you're against decency, then what are you for?
and he won.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I think it's wonderful because it was, he did it as a joke.
I
It
don't
was
know,
just
man.
a joke.
Look, he's a young kid, right? He's
Yeah.
brought up in this
Yeah.
Mennonite family that's
Yeah.
pretty close-knit. I was pretty religious and stuff when I was younger,
Yeah.
and I was class president, but I was more like Trump. I didn't care I just wanted to be class president because I liked the title and I liked the power, but I didn't want to do a damn thing.
Yeah.
Ask poor laser tag Larry, my long-suffering VP.
From 1972 to 1977, Groening attended the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, a liberal arts school that he described as
A hippie college with no grades or required classes that you're every weirdo in the Northwest. Yeah, the Evergreen State College sounds something like the Evergreen State College in Olympia sounds like something that would be on The Simpsons.
Exactly. It
just doesn't sound real.
It does not sound real at all.
It's like where Lisa in her,
She
flash
ends up,
forward goes to,
She would fit in very well there.
Yes, she would.
He served as the editor of the campus newspaper, the Cooper Point Journal, for which he also wrote articles and drew cartoons.
Campus newspapers have the stupidest stuff.
Oh.
They're always so pretentiously dumb.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
National Lampoon.
I don't remember what mine was. I
don't remember what ours was either.
I think it was the Hawk Journal or something like that.
Ours was like the Terrier Times. I
No,
think.
it was the Daily Iowan. That's what it was.
the Daily
which is
Iowa.
terrible.
At your college, it was the Daily
Yeah,
Iowa.
the Daily Iowan. Because I went to the University of Iowa.
Sure,
so they
but
call
it's
it the
still
Daily
like an
Iowan.
old man paper.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we were like the Terrier Times in Boston.
yeah. Nice.
I don't know. I don't remember.
He befriended fellow cartoonist Linda Barry after discovering that she had written a fan letter to Joseph Heller, one of Groening's favorite authors, and had received a reply.
Ooh.
Groening has credited Barry with being...
Probably my biggest inspiration.
He first became interested in cartoons after watching the Disney animated film 101 Dalmatians, and he has also cited Robert Crumb, Ernie Bushmiller, Ronald Searle, Monty Python, and Charles M. Schultz as inspiration.
Man, I love Robert Crumb.
Yeah,
I
he was
love Monty
fantastic.
Python, and I love Charles Schultz. R. Crumb, man.
Yeah.
What a weird
Yeah,
weirdo.
strange man.
Have you seen the documentary about
Yes. Yeah.
Such a great... If you guys haven't seen the R. Crumb documentary and you want to
Yeah.
see into the... I mean, we're definitely going to be doing
Oh, yeah.
an Underground
for sure.
Comics month, and he's going to be top of the heap.
Yeah.
But man...
He
Ooh, baby.
he was such a weirdo, but such a wonderful weirdo.
Wonderful weirdo. And just a menagerie of weirdos in his family. Like, each of his
Yeah.
brothers was, Anyway, it's
Yeah,
just...
yeah.
Watch the R. Crumb documentary. It's a great... in prep for our show coming up in 16 months.
So, in 1977, at the age of 23, Groening moved to Los Angeles to make a living as a writer. He went through what he described as a series of lousy jobs, including being an extra in the television movie When Every Day Was the 4th of July, bussing tables, washing dishes at a nursing home, clerking at the Hollywood Licorice Pizza record store,
Nice.
landscaping in a sewage treatment plant,
Not nice.
and chauffeuring and ghostwriting for a retired Western director.
Ooh, I wonder who it was.
I literally spent 3 hours trying to figure out who it was, and I could not. He's never come out and actually said who it was.
Sam Peckinpah. Well, you
yeah.
remember that Simpsons episode with the old Western hero?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to relaunch his career or something.
Right. He did manage to get some work writing slogans for horror movies. Groening described life in Los Angeles to his friends in the form of the self-published comic book Life in Hell.
Nice.
He would staple copies together and mail them to his friends, which God, man, if ever was able to get a hold of one of those.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. That'd probably be worth going to, at least $250,000 or something.
Yes.
I used to do that, and I still have some of mine. You know what
yeah?
they're worth?
$1?
No, nothing.
Less than a ruble?
Yes. Yeah. Pay people to take it.
Groening also distributed the comic book in the book corner of Licorice Pizza, the record store in which he worked. He made his first professional cartoon sale to the avant-garde Wet magazine in 1978. Ugh. Yeah, it sounds like a weird men's magazine. The strip, titled Forbidden Words, appeared in the September-October issue of that year. That same year, Groening had gained employment at the Los Angeles Reader, a newly formed alternative newspaper delivering papers, typesetting, editing, and answering phones.
Nice.
This is the thing, is he worked his way up. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like he just suddenly was, it was like, no, he put in that work.
Did you ever write for the Reader?
No. No, I don't think so, no. Excuse me. He showed his cartoons to the editor, James Vowell, who was impressed and eventually gave him space in the paper.
Nice.
Life in Hell made its official debut as a comic strip in the Reader on April 25th, 1980. Vowell also gave Groening his own weekly music column, Sound Mix, in 1982.
Sound Mix.
However, the column would rarely actually be about music, as he would often write about his
various enthusiasms, obsessions, and pet peeves and problems.
Instead. In an effort to add more music to the column, he
just made stuff up,
concocting and reviewing fictional bands and non-existent records. In the following week's column, he would confess to fabricating everything in the previous column and swear that everything in the new column was true. Eventually, he was finally asked to give up the music column. Yeah. Among the fans of the column was Harry Shearer, who would later become a voice on The Simpsons.
A million voices.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Mr. Benz.
Yeah. Life in Hell became popular almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I distinctly remember it being in my alternative paper in college.
My buddy, Jonathan Crosby, he was this awesome kid in high school. There was this group of kids that were really smart, kind of alternative. They probably smoked a little weed. I don't know. But super smart, and just like they were the guys that like Monty Python, and like, they had all the alternative stuff down. And he and I got to be pals. He introduced me to the San Diego Underground paper that had Life in Hell, and it's just, as soon as I read it, I just fell in love, man.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. In November 1984, Deborah Kaplan, Groening's then girlfriend and coworker at the Reader, offered to publish Love is Hell, a series of relationship-themed Life in Hell strips in book form. Released a month later, the book was an underground success, selling 22,000 copies in its first two printings.
Yep.
Work is Hell soon followed, also published by Kaplan. Groening and Deborah Kaplan married in 1986 and had two sons together, Homer, who goes by Will.
I bet he does.
And Abe, both of whom Groening occasionally portrays as rabbits in Life in Hell.
I own them all.
Nice. Groening was fired from LA Reader in 1986, but by that point the strip was appearing in other alt publications. Soon afterward, Kaplan and Groening left and put together the Life in Hell Company, which handled merchandising for Life in Hell. Groening also started Acme Features Syndicate, which initially syndicated Life in Hell, as well as work by Linda Berry and John Callahan, but would eventually only syndicate Life in Hell.
Yeah, and those underground papers, they had the greatest comics. Like, I remember in college getting whichever, I like I said, super forgettable names.
Yeah.
There was always some sort of advocate or reader or, free press or some sort of, there was probably the Boston Freep.
The Weekly, something Weekly.
The Freep, because it's free press. They called it the Freep.
It's Freep.
But they would have Life in Hell, and they would have Zippy the Pinhead. And they would have a couple others in there. Sometimes they would have Old R. Crumbs.
Yeah.
Since I spotted them, I have loved comics and animation. And it's like that to me, being in college and discovering the underground comics, it was like, well, comics can evolve with me. Like, there's adult stuff that I can read that's, about smoking dope and doing this kind of stuff and these crazy guys. And, it was just it was kind of an epiphany to see that those kind of things can grow with you. And there's people that are creating things for adults as well. And you don't have to feel like such a big old nerd.
Yeah, it definitely, when I first discovered these, it was because I loved the comic strips in the paper. Like, it was great. But I realized that they very much have like Arrested Development, where it's like, you can only have somebody like Paschetti and Meatbulbs so often, and you're like, I need something else. Like, I need more.
Right.
I'm growing up, I'm maturing, and that's where like R. Crumb and all these people come in.
Yeah. The mainstream comics had to be clever in different ways.
Yes.
In little
Yes.
secret ways, which, the better comics did. Bloom County,
Yeah.
Calvin and Hobbes.
And even Peanuts, yeah.
But yeah, just the freedom of an underground comic and being like, there's boobs in this comic, It was so weird. Zippy the Pinhead, man, such a bizarre.
So weird. Life in Hell caught the attention of Hollywood writer, producer, and Gracie Films founder James L. Brooks, who had been shown the strip by a fellow producer.
James L. Brooks, for those of you who don't remember, was the wonderkind. I don't know if he was young, but he was the wonder of the 70s and 80s, creating some of the greatest sitcoms, did broadcast news,
Oh, nice.
won Oscar.
Yeah.
This guy was the guy of quality. He was kind of the new Norman Lear in a way.
Nice. In 1985, Brooks contacted Groening with the proposition of working in animation on an undefined future project, which would turn out to be developing a series of short animated skits called Bumpers for the Fox variety show The Tracy Ullman Show.
Yeah.
Originally, Brooks wanted Groening to adapt his Life in Hell characters for the show.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what was popular.
Yes.
Groening feared that he would have to give up his ownership rights and that the show would fail and would take down the comic strip with it. So, Groening conceived of the idea for The Simpsons in the lobby of James L. Brooks' office and hurriedly sketched out his version of a dysfunctional family. Homer, the overweight father, Marge, the slim mother, Bart, the bratty oldest child, Lisa, the intelligent middle child, and Maggie, the baby.
This is my favorite story ever because it's basically the last second. This is the worst story you can tell any procrastinator because they're like, see?
Yeah.
And granted, he wasn't procrastinating. He just had a freak out because he didn't want to. And understandably so. I mean, this is just bumpers on a Tracy Ullman show on a brand new network.
I mean, this is how he was making his money.
Exactly.
And it's like, if it goes away, then...
And there was absolutely no guarantee of success. This was a third-rate network just starting up. People, they knew Tracy Ullman from HBO, but was she proven for network?
Yeah.
So, he freaked out and was like, well, I don't want to lose my life's blood.
Yeah.
My breads and butters.
Yeah.
So, in the last second, just is like, well, I'm just going to rip off my family. They literally just sketched and ripped off his family. And that last-minute sketch and decision became a 30-plus year, multi-billion-dollar juggernaut. The most successful TV show in history is basically an afterthought. That is why I love this.
Literally sketched in a lobby.
And the thing is, and I know you're going to get to this, but it goes with it. The fact that he just drew these crude, crappy sketches, at the last second, and then he was like, well...
Yeah.
These are just crude, crappy sketches. But those are the ones that they used to animate the show. That they just took those actual original, hastily, probably drew all of them in under 5 minutes.
Oh, probably.
And then under 5 minute work of just ripping off his family became the most successful thing on television.
33 years of animation.
I love it. This is why Hollywood is the best and worst thing in the world because it's these unbelievable stories. It's unbelievable, this story.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Groening famously named the main Simpson characters after members of his own family, his parents Homer and Marge. Her name was Margaret or Marjorie, depending on who you talk to. And his younger sisters Lisa and Margaret, Maggie. Claiming that it was a bit too obvious to name a character after himself, he chose the name Bart, an anagram of brat.
Nice.
However, he stresses that aside from some of the sibling rivalry, his family is nothing like The Simpsons.
Well, no family is anything like The Simpsons. They couldn't survive.
Yeah, we're all kind of like The Simpsons.
Yes, there's a little Simpsons in all of this, but not 100%.
No.
If you go full Simpson, man, your family's either in jail or dead in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Groening also has an older brother and sister, Mark and Patty, and in a 1995 interview, Groening divulged that Mark
is the actual inspiration for Bart.
Maggie Groening has co-written a few Simpsons books featuring her cartoon namesake.
Nice. Yeah, there's some great books. I had a few of the early Simpsons books because they were just like little fun trivia things.
Yeah. They're super cool. The family was crudely drawn because Groening had submitted basic sketches to the animators, assuming they would clean them up. Instead, they just traced over his drawings.
Lazy, but also respectful.
Respect to the animators for not ruining it.
Are you sure this is the final product?
Do you want us to make this look better?
Clean it up, maybe?
The entire Simpson family was designed so that they would be recognizable in silhouette.
Ooh.
I will say, sorry, just to go back for a second, I will say, because I went back and I rewatched the first season, and I have not watched the first season in a long time.
Sure.
And the original animation style is a little distracting.
Super rough.
It's a little distracting.
So his voice is
Yeah.
Super Walter Matthau.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Get in here.
It's really interesting. And this is even, I'm not talking about the first actual season, not the Tracy Ullman stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is even more rough.
Which is even rougher, yeah.
You know, it was all like, it was very, that was the charm of it. It was very messy and floopy and floppy, and it was squiggly and jiggly, and it just was weird, and it would just come in, boy, come in here. What is it, man?
What, man?
Exactly.
So the entire Simpson family was designed so they would be recognizable in silhouette. When Groening originally designed Homer, he put his own initials into the character's hairline and ear.
Yeah.
The hairline resembled an M, and the right ear resembled a G. Groening decided that this would be too distracting, though, and redesigned the ear to look normal. He still draws the ear as a G when he draws pictures of Homer for fans.
Yeah, I'd like one of those.
Ugh, I would too, man.
Oh, I just want to point out, Adam is wearing a Duff beer watch cap.
Yeah, you will have seen it in our social medias.
I guess it's a beanie. I don't know why I
it's
called it a watch cap. It is.
I mean, it's technically a watch cap.
Yeah, if I was from 1948.
Marge's distinct beehive hairstyle was inspired by Bride of Frankenstein and the style that Margaret Groening wore during the 1960s, although her hair was never blue.
But strangely, it was about 8 inches taller than Marge's. It was really tall.
It was huge.
Yeah, they always had to do, they had to flip the camera to the side to take the pictures because of that dew.
Because it's so tall.
Some would say it was a don't.
Well.
Not me. I loved it.
Bart's original design, which appeared in the first shorts, had spikier hair, and the spikes were of different lengths.
Well, everything was kind of mishmash and moosh. Nothing really matched. It was just, it really had this very charming vibe of this is a compliment, like a 5-year-old drew the cartoon.
Yeah.
And, it was like a 5-year-old's, it reminded me of if Bart drew it. I know he was older than 5, like 10 or whatever. But it's like if Bart drew it and it was like if a kid was making a cartoon about his family. And that's kind of the vibe of it.
There was something very charming about it being so crudely drawn and
Exactly.
Yeah. His hair was later limited to 9 spikes, all the same size. At the time, Groening was primarily drawing in black and
not thinking that he would eventually be drawn in color.
Gave him spikes that appeared to be an extension of his head.
Well, all their hair is pretty black.
Yeah.
Except Homie's.
Lisa's physical features are generally not used in other characters. For example, in the later seasons, no character other than Maggie shares her hairline. While designing Lisa, Groening
couldn't be bothered to even think about girls' hairstyles.
Which I don't even really know what that means. But
he's a sexist asshole.
But it sounds like it. I want to say he's not, but
I'm sure he's just joking.
Yeah. When designing Lisa and Maggie, he
just gave them the kind of spiky starfish hairstyle, not thinking that they would eventually be drawn in color.
Yeah, he literally, it was just so hurried and rushed and just like, all right, whatever, I'm getting this down.
Well, what is he? Is he in 1947 in the dawn of television? Well, how does he think they're not going to be color cartoons on network TV? When was the last time? I mean, what is he thinking?
I'm going to hazard a guess that he was just high a lot.
I don't know, man.
Groening storyboarded and scripted every short on The Tracy Ullman Show, which were then animated by a team including David Silverman and Wes Archer, both of whom would later become directors on the series.
Oh, yeah.
The Simpsons shorts first appeared in The Tracy Ullman Show on April 19th, 1987. Another family member, Grandpa Simpson, was introduced in the later shorts. He's one of my favorite characters. Years later, during the early seasons of The Simpsons, when it came time to give Grandpa a first name, Groening says he refused to name him after his own grandfather, Abraham, leaving it to the other writers to choose a name. By coincidence, they chose Abraham, unaware that it was the name of his grandfather.
Well, he didn't tell them that he didn't want Abraham, or he just said, you guys pick?
I think he just said, you guys pick.
Oh, that's funny.
And they go, Abraham. And he goes, wow, that's the
nope.
one. I guess it's fate. Although The Tracy Ullman Show was not a big hit, the popularity of the shorts led to a half-hour spinoff in 1989.
Yeah, her show was fine, but Dan Castellaneta, who played Homer Simpson, who plays Homer Simpson, who is one of the another great voice actor that when we do our voice actor month, he'll be part of it with Mel Blanc. But he was a player on the show because it was basically a sketch show. She did a lot of sketch comedy where she played a myriad of characters of all different nationalities and colors and flavors. Some successful, some not, some very much not. I like Tracy Ullman. She's very hit or miss for me. I like her more as an actress than I do her comedy. I think when she was younger, her comedy was really spot on, but as she kind of got older, it dropped off a bit. But I loved the Tracy Ullman show. I thought that it was really funny. I think, it wasn't just The Simpsons that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the sketches and the players as well.
A team of production companies adapted The Simpsons into a half-hour series for the Fox Broadcasting Company. The team included what is now the Klasky Supo Animation House.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah. Klasky Supo went on to create other animated shows like Rugrats, Real Monsters, The Wild Thornberrys, and Duckman.
The Wild Thornberrys.
They
Duckman. Sorry.
Duckman
was a really weird, good show with Jason Alexander as Duckman. It was on, I think USA used to have this weird block of animation.
Yeah, because later they did, it was like The Critic and stuff was later. But yeah, they had a weird kind of alt comic or alt cartoon like block.
It was an awesome time for that because MTV had Liquid TV.
Oh, Liquid Television was my favorite show.
And you had Duckman, you had all these adult. The Simpsons paved the way for all of this, by the way. The Simpsons... it's so funny that the Fox Network was basically built on The Simpsons and Married with Children.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
totally.
And you name one show that started on Fox that's still around.
The Simpsons. That's
it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you name one show that's on any network that started in the 1980s.
60 Minutes.
And it's none.
Oh, it didn't start in this.
It started earlier, James L. Brooks negotiated...
Saturday Night Live.
That's true. That is true. All right. James L. Brooks negotiated a provision in the contract with the Fox network that prevented Fox from interfering with the show's content.
Greatest thing you can ever do.
Exactly. Ever have a show, put that in your clause that they can't keep you from making fun of them.
It was just like a perfect storm of events, too, because you couldn't do this with CBS or ABC or NBC.
They would never have. They never would have said yes to this.
This fledgling network needed a hit, so of course they're going to be like, whatever you want, buddy. You have a proven record, Mr. Brooks.
We've been around for 10 years. How are you going to make fun of us?
Yeah, exactly.
we literally have no identity. Like, what can you do?
Yeah.
Groening said his goal in creating the show was to offer the audience an alternative to what he called the mainstream trash that they were watching.
Ooh, to snow.
Yeah, a little.
But there was a lot of trash going on then.
It was not the greatest.
This was like Family Matters, and Step by Step Time, and
what's that? Growing Pains, and
I think Growing Pains was done by then, wasn't it?
No, Growing Pains
the 90s?
and it was the early 90s. There was one year where like Growing Pains and all these 80s shows ended the same year.
That's crazy that Growing Pains and The Simpsons were on at the same time.
I'm almost positive. I think they ended around 91, if I remember right.
Yes, that's when... I remember the last episode of Growing Pains, the rapture came.
Yeah.
And the father...
who was left behind,
Jim? The father was left behind for all of his sinful deeds. And it was just... The last 10 minutes of the show was just him crying and trying to repent for his sins.
Wasteland
as,
of hell.
As a big... As Kirk Cameron in heaven looks down on him and shakes his head in judgment.
Just holding a banana going... Intelligent design! Intelligent design!
It was weird. It was a departure from the show. Yeah. And then Boner showed up and ruined everything.
See, but it's the same, though, is that you have to remember that, like, Night Court ended in the early 90s. Like, it was started in 1984, or 83, but it ran, like, 10 years, 9 years.
Cheers ended in, what, 89?
No, it ended in, like, 90 or 91.
God, man.
But that ran for...
11 years, didn't it?
11 years, I think. The half-hour series premiered on December 17th, 1989, with Simpsons roasting on an open fire, a Christmas special. Some Enchanted Evening was the first full-length episode produced, but it did not broadcast until May 1990 as the last episode of the first season because of animation problems.
Man, I remember this, too, because my friends and I loved The Simpsons shorts. In college, we would watch the Tracy Ullman show specifically to see The Simpsons.
Yeah, of course.
And then when The Simpsons, when they announced the show, we were just like What?
Yay, yeah.
My buddy Sean and I especially, we just love The Simpsons so much. And then it happens, and we're like, this is great. And now they're going to do a series, which is even greater.
Yeah.
And then we find out, well, you're not going to see anything for probably close to another year. It's just like,
Well.
oh, what?
Yeah. The series quickly became a worldwide phenomenon to the surprise of many. Groening said,
Nobody thought The Simpsons was going to be a big hit. It sneaked up on everybody.
The Simpsons is co-developed by Groening, Brooks, and Sam Simon, a writer-producer with whom Brooks had worked on previous projects.
Now, this was unlike anything before it. There had been some, there was a show that nobody remembers called Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, which was
Early 70s.
Yeah. It was an animated sitcom. I really dug it. I think Tom Bosley was the dad.
The animation style in that was really cool.
Yeah, it was if you can probably find it on YouTube or something, but check out an episode. It's a very nice microcosm of the 70s. But there really wasn't an irreverent prime time family, a dysfunctional family like this.
Yeah.
To the point where there was so much backlash from the right and the religious right, and everybody's like, well, all the little boys are going to act like Bart, and they're going to be little brats, and they're going to, carry, and it was again, that hysteria of, ooh, the children, think of the children, which they parodied so well on that show, and still do.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Is the kind of the feel of sitcoms at the time on TV, like Family Matters or Family Ties, and Growing Pains and all that. Everything was just kind of bland.
It was.
And I loved Night Court, but it was bland.
Sure.
It was just kind of boring and like, okay.
They would have their occasional edgy episodes, like Family Ties, when Tom Hanks came on as the alcoholic uncle,
Yeah. Or
And
little
he
girl
ended up
would
dying, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was something really
remember that
messed
at all.
up about old Uncle Tom Hanks.
They would add characters in, and like the little girl running away in Growing Pains or whatever. Like it was.
Well, they had to end
was
up.
just,
there was like the expiration when all the kids got ugly. Oh, okay, that's not a nice thing to say. When all the kids started going through puberty and
Getting older,
aging as children do.
Yeah.
They always had to. It was called the Oliver effect.
Yeah.
It started with the Brady Bunch when they brought in Cousin Oliver, when all the little kids were when they kept having to put, poor Cindy's like 17 and they have her still in pigtails trying to make her look like she's 12. She's like, So they always would bring in some child to try to save the show. Brian Bonsall, all these kids.
That is the time when the show needs to end.
Yep. Yes, it does.
But the thing is that The Simpsons came in, and even though it was this animated show, it felt more real than all these other shows did. Nobody had families like Family Ties and Growing Pains. Like that wasn't the common American family.
Everybody had a dad that yelled at him, or a mom that gets upset, or a brother that might not have a soul. I mean, the way that they dealt with stuff was just so. You're right. It's the most fantastical, ridiculous looking animation that's dealing with some of the most realistic family drama. I mean, there's quite fantastical adventures that they go on.
Of course, because it's an animated show. You can.
But the core of that show, and the reason why it's lasted so long, is because it's the love and the heart of the family.
Yeah.
As much as Homer loves to strangle Bart, why you little? And and they bicker and they disappoint each other and they hurt each other just like every family does.
Yeah.
But they also forgive each other, understand each other, and atone for their mistakes and try to change. But they're human, so they can't really change. It's just really complicated in such a relatable way.
Yeah, totally.
From the very beginning.
Yeah. So Matt Groening and Sam Simon did not get along and were often in conflict over the show. Groening once described their relationship as
very contentious.
Simon eventually left the show in 1993 over creative differences. A lot of people credit the shaping of the show to Sam Simon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Groening, obviously, it's his show, but like Sam Simon's the one that made it a workable show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you had to have some sort of structure.
Yeah.
You couldn't just have... The shorts were just as simple as the family taking a picture.
Right.
A family portrait.
A one-sentence synopsis, and it plays out over 5 minutes. Yeah.
Bart's making faces. We can all relate. I was the guy making faces that my mother got so mad at me for always making faces in pictures. But you can't help it. can't help but be funny.
You can't help it, yeah. Although Groening has pitched a number of spin-offs from The Simpsons, those attempts have been unsuccessful. In 1984, Groening and other Simpsons producers pitched a live-action spin-off about Krusty the Clown with Dan Castellaneta playing the lead role, but were unsuccessful in getting it off the ground.
It would be too creepy. It would be way too creepy.
It'd be weird.
They did a lot of Simpsons spin-off shows within The Simpsons. They did like really fun episodes of, Skinner, P.I. Where they would like take the characters and
it'd be like parody stuff. And,
it's a spin-off spectacular. They would do all these really fun kind of shows that they could explore that stuff in the universe, but that stuff would work for 7 minutes.
Right.
But you can't all the supporting characters of The Simpsons are great. They're very well defined. They have depth. They have
well, you got 33 years to explore your characters.
Right, but even from the beginning, Barney's a drunk, but Barney also is a tortured artist, and Barney also has feelings, and Moe is an ugly troll, but Moe wants love. Every supporting character has depth, and they're well rounded, and they've had their own storylines and whatever. But I don't think any of them can sustain themselves without The Simpsons.
Yes.
Because there's the great thing about the spin-off shows is The Simpsons will always show up and they'd be like, oh, well, maybe we could come, maybe we could return the favor. And they're like, I don't think so. But it's, I think.
He tried to do a spin-off of the non-Simpsons citizens of Springfield, and it never happened. Along with a young Homer series about him being a teenager. Which never happened either, obviously.
Because we see it anyway. It's explored within the series.
Yeah.
And it's just a funny thing is like every time they do a teenager episode in each decade, it's like it's so the most disconcerting thing is getting old with The Simpsons because I was a teenager when The Simpsons started.
Yeah.
And now I'm an old man. And so it's like I'm older than Homer.
Yeah.
I'm almost getting to Abe Simpson's age. But it's like, when I started watching The Simpsons, the Homer stuff would go back to like the 60s. That would be when,
early 70s.
Yeah, early 70s when
disco.
when they were doing their thing. And and now it's the 90s or the aughts where they're like back and being young, and it's just so it just makes you feel a little old.
In 1995, Groening got into a major disagreement with Brooks and other Simpsons producers over A Star is Burns, a crossover episode with The Critic, an animated show that also produced by Brooks and staffed with many former Simpsons crew members. Groening claimed that he feared viewers would
see it as nothing but a pathetic attempt to advertise The Critic at the expense of The Simpsons,
and was concerned about the possible implication that he had created or produced The Critic.
I thought he did. I mean, because it has the same basic animated style. I definitely thought that Groening was involved with it.
Yeah.
It didn't try to
dissuade
people from thinking that. No. And he's right. I mean, I enjoyed The Critic. The Critic was a good show.
Yeah, it was funny.
It was nowhere near as good as The Simpsons.
No.
And I 100% agree with him.
Yeah.
That, he's just protective of his property.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want, I get it,
Yeah.
The Critic isn't The Simpsons.
No,
it's
the
same
not.
friggin' joke over and over again. It's a fat little film critic who likes to eat and hates everything.
Be angry,
It stinks. It stinks. But it was funny. I mean, John Lovitz is a very funny guy, so it worked. But it's just, I get it.
So he requested his name be taken off the episode. Groening wrote a handful of episodes in The Simpsons movie. He appeared in the show a couple of times as himself. He currently serves at The Simpsons as an executive producer and creative consultant.
So I got a kind of funny story about The Simpsons movie, if I could tell it really quickly. Sure. So I was so excited to see The Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
And my friend Darren, my buddy Darren, he got tickets, and we were going to go the opening night, and we had some great seats, and I was shooting this short film. And I did this scene where it was a fight scene.
Okay.
And I got thrown into this bookcase full of dolls. And one of the dolls was a porcelain doll. And I led with my elbow. And I smashed into the porcelain doll and just ripped my elbow to shreds.
Oh, no.
And I'm sitting there, and it's bloody and it's nasty. And the director's like, I think it'll be okay. And her husband, my buddy, this Greg, is like, no. We got to take him to the hospital. And so I'm like, but I got The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And so they take me to the hospital, and I get stitched up, and they give me these drugs. And But I'm like, I'm going. And Darren's like, are you sure that you want to go, man? Because, no, I'm going. And we had plans to go to dinner and then go to the thing. So I go to dinner and I'm drinking wine, taking pain pills. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not really eating. And we get to the theater and we sit down. And all of a sudden, man, I feel the life draining from my body. I have never been more thirsty in my entire life.
Oh, wow.
It was the worst feeling. I was like, and I was like trapped in the middle of the aisle. There's no way to get out to rectify this. And luckily Darren saw me. He's like, what the hell, man? I was like, so he got me some water and I ended up watching the movie. I was fuzzy for like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, okay.
I was going in and out, and then I somehow regained my composure and consciousness and watched the movie, which was awesome.
Need and will to watch the movie.
Yeah, man, not even Stitches is gonna keep me from seeing The Simps.
No. So after spending a few years researching science fiction, Groening got together with Simpsons writer-producer David X. Cohen, known as David S. Cohen at the time, in 1997 and developed Futurama, an animated series about life in the year 3000.
Ooh.
By the time they pitched the series to Fox in April 1998, Groening and Cohen had composed many characters and storylines. Groening claimed they had gone overboard in their discussions. Groening described trying to get the show on the air as
by far the worst experience in my grown-up life.
The show premiered on March 28th, 1999. After 4 years on the air, the show was canceled by Fox.
It's funny. As much of a fan of The Simpsons and Matt Groening, I didn't watch it.
Oh, really?
I didn't. I think I watched the first episode and was like, not for me. I didn't really care for Fry. But years later, when I became a DVD-aholic, and I was going every Tuesday to do release day,
stuff,
I ended up just on a whim buying the seasons of Futurama because the packaging was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I started watching. I really dug it, and I finally got into it. I was like, okay, this is great. This is really fun.
That was in a situation similar to Family Guy, however. Strong DVD sales and very stable ratings on Adult Swim brought Futurama back to life.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that you weren't, because I was the exact opposite. I actually at the time liked Futurama more than The Simpsons.
A lot of people did.
Because it was science fiction and I was a huge nerd and it was like, oh, they can do anything and it's fun, But it also had 10 years of The Simpsons being honed to be able to do that.
And as a Simpsons super fan, there was so much expectation for this series on my, unfairly
of course. When Comedy Central began negotiating for the rights to air Futurama reruns, Fox suggested that there was a possibility of also creating new episodes. When Comedy Central committed to 16 new episodes, it was decided that 4 straight-to-DVD films would be produced.
Nice.
Bender's Big Score in 2007, The Beast with a Billion Backs in 2008, Bender's Game in 2008, and Into the Wild Green Yonder in 2009. Since no new Futurama projects were in production, the movie Into the Wild Green Yonder was designed to stand as the Futurama series finale.
Cool.
However, Groening had expressed a desire to continue the Futurama franchise in some form, including as a theatrical film. Comedy Central commissioned an additional 26 new episodes and began airing them in 2010. Comedy Central announced in April 2013 that they would not be renewing it beyond its 7th season. The final episode aired on September 4th, 2013. But 10 years later, Futurama got picked up again by Hulu and is going to have a 2023 release.
I love this. I love the fact that nothing can die now. There's so many streaming services and such a need for content that they're just bringing crap back.
So Groening and Deborah Kaplan divorced in 1999. During all of this, Groening had been producing the Life in Hell comic strip. He did comic strips every week.
Yep.
Although Groening previously stated,
I'll never give up the comic strip. It's my foundation.
June 16th, 2012, the strip marked Life in Hell's conclusion.
Dope.
Yeah. At the end of its run, Life in Hell was carried in 250 weekly newspapers and has been anthologized in a series of books, including School is Hell, Childhood is Hell, The Big Book of Hell, and The Huge Book of Hell.
I need to get The Huge Book of Hell. I have all the other Book of Hells.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
After Groening ended the strip, the Center for Cartoon Studies commissioned a poster that was presented to him in honor of his work. The poster contained tribute cartoons by 22 of Groening's cartoonist friends who were influenced by Life in Hell.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure that thing's worth a pretty penny.
Hey, it'd be so cool. How cool would it be to get like the greatest artists of your medium to create a poster for you.
Yeah, it's
Just
like
you and your characters.
You inspired us. Here's something we're doing for
So
you.
rad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. In 2011, Groening married Argentine artist Agustina Picasso after a 4-year relationship and became stepfather to her daughter Camila.
What a great stepdad.
Oh yeah, be a great stepdad. Yeah. In May 2013, Picasso gave birth to Nathaniel Philip Picasso Groening, named after writer Nathaniel West. She joked that
His godfather is SpongeBob's creator, Steven Hillenburg.
in 2015, Groening's daughters Luna Margaret and India Mia were born. And in 2018, he became the father of twins for a second time when his wife gave birth to Saul, Matthew, and Venus Ruth.
Okay, enough with the names, guys.
But here's the thing, and the reason I included all this is because at this point now, I believe that he has 7 biological children and 1 stepchild.
And he's, what,
he's-
60-something?
Yes.
And he's still having twins and babies?
He had twins 4 years ago. He's got to be almost 70 now.
Wow.
It's too much. Too much.
I mean, look, he can afford it. I don't.
Of course.
As long as you can afford to give children a great life, I don't care how many kids you have. Eddie Murphy's got a ton of kids.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of kids. Mel Gibson's got a ton of kids. Those probably not as happy as Matt Groening's kids or Eddie Murphy's kids, but still. But I'm just saying, as long as you can take care of your kids, have as many as you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Groening plays the drums in the all-author rock and roll band, the Rock Bottom Remainders.
Guess who else is in that?
He's listed as the cowbell player. Other members include
Dave Barry, Ridley Pearson, Scott Turow, Amy Tan, James McBride, Mitch Albom, Roy Blunt Jr., Stephen Effin King, Kathy Kamen, Goldmark, Sam Barry, and Greg Iles.
it's so many people. I'm just like, wow. Like they just really. It's like whoever wants to jump in, let's do it.
Yeah, I love most of those authors. I don't know if I'd want to see them. I guess I would want to see them perform.
I would.
Yeah,
Hell
why
yes.
not?
I
man?
mean, God knows they're probably not great, but
No,
they'd be
because-
fun to see.
I mean, many of them are septuagenarians.
They're definitely old now. But this is the thing is that like Stephen King, he's a huge music nerd.
Oh my
So
God,
like
yeah.
it would be fun to watch them
Of
play.
course it would.
Yeah.
I would not turn down an opportunity to see the Rock Bottom Remainders. Ugh, what an awful name for the band, though, by the way.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
so
know where that came from.
Snootyly literary. It probably came from Scott Turow. I'm just kidding.
Or Mitch Albom.
Yeah,
he,
sure,
who
sure.
did the Tuesdays with Barry. That was Mitch Albom. I don't know if you remember that.
I thought it was Tuesdays with Maury.
Sorry, Tuesdays with Maury. I wrote Tuesdays with Barry,
Yeah, no, I
which
remember
is a book
Tuesdays
about
with
me
Maury.
just watching the TV show Barry.
Nice.
Yeah.
On Tuesdays, I hope.
Only on Tuesdays.
Okay, good.
Otherwise, why would it be
I
Tuesdays
know, I'm
with
just saying,
Barry?
it's-
Yeah.
Okay.
Groening currently has the fantasy animated show Disenchantment streaming on Netflix.
Great show. Has gotten better with every season. The latest season is really tight.
I still need to watch the newest 10 episodes. Groening described the fantasy-oriented series as originating in a sketchbook full of...
Fantastic creatures we couldn't do on The Simpsons, and it's true. And
Yeah.
it's got Abby Jacobson from Broad City. She's hilarious as the lead. It's got Eric Andre, as the little weird demon guy.
Nat Faxon.
Yeah, who's really funny.
Fantastic.
He's
so
so
funny.
oh my god, I love him, especially when he plays those dumb parts. And
Yeah.
and you know what I love about him? He never got his teeth fixed. And I'm sure that he did it because it adds so much to the characters that he does.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
I love that guy.
He's fantastic. It's a great show.
It's also got Bender. It's also got
John DiMaggio,
is the
Billy
king.
West, Tress McNeil, Matt Berry, who's hysterical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a great show, and it's a good fantasy show. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I want to say The Simpsons in a fantasy world because it's not, but
No,
like
it's a little bit more dark. It's a
Yeah.
little bit more dramedy, I guess.
Yeah,
if I would.
yeah.
Ghosts be so bold as to
Well,
say.
it definitely has like because they released it in 10 episode chunks. It definitely has an ongoing plot,
Yeah.
which The Simpsons doesn't have.
It's a through story.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're learning more about our main characters and where they came from and stuff. And you know, a lot of it is not fun to learn for them. So it's funny and it's interesting. It's well written, really well acted. It's definitely worth a binge.
So over the course of his career, Matt Groening has been nominated for the Emmy 43 times
Good God.
and has won it 13 times.
Is that a record, 43?
I don't know. That I don't have that information.
I mean, it's got to be close.
But literally, The Simpsons gets essentially pretty much every year gets nominated for Outstanding Animated Program.
It deserves it. Look, like I said, I have never missed an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a super fan, and call me what you will, but there are very few episodes that I've been disappointed in. A show that can have 718 episodes,
yeah.
and I can think of maybe a handful, maybe 5, that I don't really like.
Yeah,
And even the ones
yeah.
that I don't really like, they're not horrible.
No.
There's Lisa episodes. Let's be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's still such high quality. And if you're bitching about it, you're not watching it. And you can catch it all on Disney Plus. They have all, except for the latest.
I do. I want to say I think there's a couple episodes they don't have, but I think it's for whatever political reasons.
Maybe they whitewashed a little bit of The Simpsons. Who knows? But check it out. If you haven't seen The Simpsons, then you're what? Been living in a cave for your entire life.
Yeah, but it's not. Sometimes animation isn't for everybody. But
It's not for my sister.
Check it out.
I bet you my sister's never seen an episode of The Simpsons. She doesn't like animation.
Yeah,
It breaks my heart. But you know.
Phoebe's the same way. She doesn't like adult animation. She prefers like the Disney stuff, which
Sure.
is great. And some of that is, but she just doesn't. It's not something that appeals to her. And
I get
it's
it.
like okay, yeah.
My sister's a lot smarter than I am. She actually grew up to become an adult, so I get her point of view, and I love her. But yeah, it's just I can't get enough of cartoons, man. And I tell you, it's going to be really, really weird to not have The Simpsons around, man.
Yeah,
Once they cancel that
yeah.
in 2056.
We're definitely getting, I think, at least 2 more years.
Look, it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
Until, one of the main characters dies.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, it's like
at that point, it's going to be what you. Yeah.
We lost Mrs. Krabappel.
Yeah. We lost Phil Hartman.
We lost Phil Hartman. There's some great voice actors that. Man, you look in the early episodes, and like Johnny Carson. Like everybody's dead. There's Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
It's hey Pagoda. But that was always my biggest dream, was to be a voice on The Simpsons. And one of our friends actually.
That was actually our friend
John.
John Lippow, and actually is going to be on 2 episodes.
I know. I'm so unbelievably excited, impressed, and just jelly gels.
It could not have happened to a nicer guy.
No, he deserves
so
it. Super talented, and I'm so happy for him. And it's just like the only thing is like I don't want anybody I know to be on The Simpsons because it takes me out of my pure just immersion. But I will watch The Simpsons. I will never miss an episode. I'm going to do a rewatch through, but man, that's a daunting undertaking.
Yeah.
This isn't about The Simpsons. It's about Matt Groening. And I'm, again, here's a guy like Charles Schultz who created something just out of his brain that became $1 billion industry.
Huge,
an industry, not just a cartoon, but books and video games and T-shirts and merchandise. I mean, the merchandising was just so disgusting and so out there that they Simpsons had to make fun of it.
Much.
Everybody had it. Don't worry. Don't have a cow.
Don't have a cow, man.
Sure. Yeah. Or, do the Barkman.
Cowabunga dude.
Cowabunga dude. In its heyday, it was everywhere, man.
It was huge.
And it's still really popular. I mean, people love it's a comfort, man. Go back and watch it. It's comfort food.
Yeah.
But I just am so impressed with him. And again, I just want to reiterate, it's my favorite story of the beginning of any show ever because it's literally the last minute.
Yeah.
And
it proves the procrastinator's right.
Exactly. If you're talented and you can get it done no matter what. And it's just an afterthought is the most successful television show in history. I just love it. I love it so much. And I love him.
All right. We'll be back next week. We'll have a stepdad show. We're going to talk more about animation and fun stuff that we like. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Marge's distinct behavior.
There's depth there. Now I lost my train of thought.
Motorcycle! She joked that
his godfather is SpongeBob creator Steven Hillenburg. I don't know what the accent that was. That's what she joked, right?
Yeah.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, The $6 Billion Man, already in progress.